The security guard at the Staples Center in downtown Los Angeles had worked the graveyard shift for 11 years, and he thought he'd seen everything, until 3:47 a.m. on August 12, 1995, when he heard music coming from Studio C, a rehearsal space that was supposed to be locked and empty. What he found inside that room would lead to one of the most powerful moments in performance history. And it started with a 19-year-old girl who wasn't supposed to be there. Her name was Maya Jennings. She was born in Compton, California on March 3, 1976. At 8 years old, she was already dancing competitively, winning regional competitions, being called a prodigy by every instructor who worked with her. By age 11, she had scholarship offers from 3 different performing arts academies. Her future was mapped out: professional dancer, choreographer, maybe even Broadway. Then came January 18, 1988. A drunk driver ran a red light at the intersection of Crenshaw and Florence. Maya was in the back seat of her mother's car. The impact was catastrophic. T10 spinal cord injury, complete, permanent. The doctors told her she would never walk again. She was 12 years old. Most people would have stopped dancing. Maya Jennings was not most people. She spent 7 years teaching herself how to move in a wheelchair the way she used to move on her feet. She studied every performance video she could find. She broke down movement into its fundamental components: rhythm, isolation, flow, momentum. She realized that dancing was never just about legs. It was about the entire body becoming an instrument of expression. By 1995, Maya had developed a style that nobody had seen before. Wheelchair choreography that wasn't adaptive dance, it was pure artistry. Spins that generated enough momentum to create visual spirals. Arm isolations that carried the rhythm through her upper body. Tilts and balances that defied the physics of a seated position. She had turned limitation into innovation. But she practiced alone. Always alone. At 3 a.m. in rehearsal studios, she accessed through a janitor who felt sorry for her. Because the professional dance world in 1995 didn't have a category for what she was doing. Adaptive dance programs existed, but they were therapeutic, educational, not professional, not performance level. Maya Jennings was performing at a level that demanded to be seen, but nobody was looking. That's why she was in Studio C at the Staples Center at 3:47 in the morning, practicing a routine she had been developing for 8 months. A 6-minute piece set to a combination of Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation and her own recorded percussion tracks. The janitor had let her in at midnight. She'd been working for almost 4 hours straight. The security guard, whose name was Marcus Webb, stood in the doorway, watching her move. He didn't interrupt. He just watched. Because what Maya was doing wasn't just dancing. It was something else entirely, something he didn't have words for. After 90 seconds, he pulled out his radio to call it in. Then he stopped, because he realized that calling it in meant stopping her, and stopping her felt wrong. So Marcus Webb made a decision. He walked back to the security office, reviewed the sign-in logs, and made a note that Studio C had been properly reserved and cleared. Then he went back to his patrol route and said nothing. What Marcus didn't know was that someone else was in the building that night. Someone who also heard the music. Someone who had been working in a private studio on the 3rd floor and came down to investigate the sound. Michael Jackson had been using the Staples Center's private facilities for 6 weeks, working on choreography for the upcoming History World Tour. He kept irregular hours, sometimes arriving at 11 p.m. and working until dawn. The building management had given him complete access and total privacy. Nobody was supposed to know he was there. When he heard the music coming from Studio C, his first instinct was frustration. He had paid for exclusive access. But as he got closer to the door, the quality of the sound changed his emotional trajectory. This wasn't a recording. This was live. Someone was dancing. Michael stood outside the studio door for almost 3 minutes before he opened it, just listening, trying to identify what he was hearing. The musicality was exceptional. The rhythm was complex. Whoever was in there understood syncopation at a level that most professional dancers never reached. He opened the door slowly, quietly, and what he saw stopped him completely. Maya Jennings was in the center of the room, moving through a sequence that combined popping, locking, and contemporary dance vocabulary in ways that shouldn't have been possible from a seated position. Her wheelchair wasn't a limitation. It was an extension, a prop, a partner. She was using its momentum to generate spins, its axis to create balances, its frame to execute isolations that looked like optical illusions. Michael watched for 2 minutes and 40 seconds without moving, without breathing, just processing what he was seeing. Then Maya executed a move that made him audibly gasp. She tilted her wheelchair back onto its rear wheels, held a perfect balance, and while balanced, executed a wave that traveled from her fingertips down through her shoulders, chest, and core, all while maintaining the balance point. It was biomechanically extraordinary. It was artistically flawless. The gasp broke Maya's concentration. She spun toward the door, her face going through rapid calculation. Fear, embarrassment, defiance. She was trespassing. She knew it. But she also wasn't going to apologize for it. "I have permission," she said immediately. It was a lie, but her voice was steady. Michael stepped into the light. Maya's expression changed. Recognition hit her like a physical force. "I'm sorry," Michael said quietly. "I didn't mean to interrupt. I heard the music and I had to see." Maya said nothing. Her mind was moving too fast. Michael Jackson was standing 15 feet away from her. Michael Jackson had been watching her dance. The magnitude of that reality was too large to process. "How long have you been working on that?" Michael asked. His voice was gentle, genuinely curious. 8 months, Maya said. Her voice was smaller now. "For this piece. 7 years for everything else." Michael walked closer. Not invasive, just present. 7 years, teaching yourself? Yes. No instructor? No. Maya's defiance was returning. "Nobody teaches what I do, because nobody does what I do." Michael nodded slowly. "I noticed. That balance sequence in the middle section. How did you figure out the counterweight distribution?" Maya blinked. This wasn't the conversation she expected. Trial and error. A lot of error. "I fell backward 200 times before I understood the physics." 200 times, Michael repeated. "That's dedication." "That's obsession," Maya corrected. Michael smiled. "Yeah, I know what that looks like." They stood in silence for a moment. Then Michael asked the question that changed everything. "Can I see the whole thing from the beginning?" Maya hesitated. This wasn't a rehearsal anymore. This was an audition she hadn't prepared for, but she also knew she would regret refusing for the rest of her life. "Okay," she said. She went back to her starting position, took a breath, and began. For 6 minutes and 14 seconds, Maya Jennings performed the routine she had been building in isolation for 8 months, and Michael Jackson watched every second with the focused intensity of someone who understood exactly what he was seeing. When she finished, the room was silent for almost 30 seconds. Maya's heart was pounding. She couldn't read Michael's expression. Then he started clapping. Slowly, deliberately. And as he clapped, he walked toward her. "That," Michael said, "is some of the most innovative choreography I've seen in 10 years. Maybe ever." Maya felt tears forming. She fought them back. "Thank you." "I'm serious," Michael continued. "You're doing things with momentum and axis that professional choreographers don't understand. You've created an entire vocabulary. Do you realize that?" "I just dance," Maya said quietly. "No," Michael corrected gently. "You innovate. There's a difference." He pulled up a chair and sat down so they were at eye level. "Tell me about your training, before." Maya told him. The competitions, the scholarships, the accident, the 7 years of rebuilding everything from scratch. Michael listened without interrupting. His focus was complete. When she finished, he asked, "Have you performed this for anyone, professionally?" "No. There's nowhere to perform it. Adaptive dance programs are therapeutic. They're not professional. And professional dance doesn't have a category for what I do." "They don't have a category yet," Michael said. "But that's about to change." Maya looked at him, uncertain what he meant. Michael stood up. "I'm going on tour next year. History World Tour. 82 cities. 4.5 million people. I'm building the choreography right now, and I've been looking for something that hasn't been done before. Something that makes people rethink what performance can be." He paused. "I want you to be part of it." Maya's brain stopped processing language. She heard the words. She couldn't make them mean anything. I'm serious, Michael continued. There's a section in the show, right before Earth Song, where I want to showcase different forms of movement, different voices. I want you to perform a 90-second solo, your choreography, your style, on stage, in front of millions. I can't, Maya said automatically. I'm not a professional. I don't have representation. You have everything that matters, Michael interrupted. You have talent. You have dedication. You have a voice that needs to be heard. Everything else is logistics. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a business card. This is my choreographer, Travis Payne. Call him tomorrow. Tell him I sent you. You'll audition officially because that's how the process works. But I'm telling you right now, if you perform tomorrow what you performed tonight, you're in. Maya took the card with shaking hands. There's one more thing, Michael said. He walked to the corner of the room where a bag was sitting. He pulled out a black fedora, not a replica, the actual fedora he had worn during the dangerous tour. This is from the performance in Bucharest, Michael said. October 1st, 1992, 70,000 people, one of the most important shows of my career. I want you to have it. I can't take this, Maya whispered. Yes, you can, Michael said firmly. Because every time you look at it, I want you to remember what you showed me tonight. That limitations are just starting points for innovation. That the only person who can define what you're capable of is you. He placed the fedora in her lap. Promise me something. Anything, Maya said. Don't ever practice alone at 3 a.m. again unless it's by choice. You've earned the right to practice in daylight, with doors open, with people watching. Promise me you'll take up space. Maya nodded, tears streaming down her face now. I promise. Michael smiled. Good. Now go home. Get some rest, and call Travis tomorrow at 10 a.m. You have work to do. He walked toward the door, then turned back. And Maya, thank you. For what? For reminding me why I do this. You're going to inspire millions. I'm just giving you the stage you've already earned. Then he was gone, and Maya Jennings sat alone in Studio C, holding a fedora that still smelled like performance and possibility, trying to process what had just happened. She called Travis Payne at exactly 10 a.m. the next morning. The audition was scheduled for August 15th. She performed the same routine Michael had seen. Travis Payne watched in silence. When she finished, he said, "You start rehearsals Monday." Maya Jennings performed in 56 shows during the History World Tour. Her 90-second solo before Earth Song became one of the most talked-about moments of the entire production. Critics called it revolutionary. Audiences gave her standing ovations, and wheelchair dancers around the world suddenly had proof that professional performance was possible. After the tour ended, Maya became a choreographer, working with adaptive dance programs to transform them from therapeutic to professional. She founded the Jennings Institute for Performance Innovation in 2001, which has trained over 3,000 dancers with disabilities for professional careers. She still has the fedora. It sits in a glass case in her office at the Institute. Below it is a plaque with a quote from that night in Studio C. Limitations are just starting points for innovation. The only person who can define what you're capable of is you. MJ, August 12, 1995, 3:47 a.m. In 2009, when Michael Jackson died, Maya was asked to perform at multiple tribute events. She declined all of them except one. At the BET Awards Memorial, she performed a 2-minute piece in complete silence. No music, just movement. The audience of millions watched a master of her craft demonstrate what happens when someone refuses to accept the limitations others try to impose. When she finished, she held up the fedora. The camera zoomed in close enough to see her lips move as she mouthed 2 words, "Thank you." The security guard, Marcus Webb, was never supposed to let anyone use Studio C without authorization. He should have called it in immediately when he found Maya that night. He didn't. And because of that choice, millions of wheelchair dancers who came after Maya had a professional path that didn't exist before. Sometimes the most important moments happen because someone breaks the rules at exactly the right time. Sometimes a gift isn't just an object. It's permission to believe that you belong in spaces you've been told were never meant for you. Maya Jennings was practicing alone at 3 a.m. because she thought nobody wanted to see what she could do. Michael Jackson found her and proved that the world was ready. They just didn't know it yet. That fedora still inspires millions. Not because of who wore it, because of what it represents. The moment when someone who had spent 7 years believing they were too different to matter learned they were exactly different enough to change everything.